It is a very odd feeling that the closer I get to completion, if I work 8-hour days at this, it's only a couple days left, really. Good solid, if I had a good solid stretch of time to work on this, I can just get it done. But because I'm only working on it, in between farm work and any other time I get a chance, when I'm able, it feels like it's taking forever, and it feels like, I'm still waiting for UPS to show up tonight with a couple of parts, the piece to connect the pipe to the pump coming there, and the safety valve for the safety cooling relay, which I'm not ready yet to plumb that, but I needed that. That was the reason for placing that order, and then getting a few other parts and pieces. I need the coupling for there, and I'm still waiting. So I ordered the new parts that came today, ordered them yesterday? No, day before yesterday. I'm still waiting for the back order parts that they said a week ago were ready and they were going to ship ASAP. And I called them 2 days ago and said, hey, you said you're going to ship those ASAP. I should have had them by now. Where are they? And they said, oh, we'll get those right out to you and send you a tracking number. And I haven't heard anything about them. And that's actually going to hold me up because I need 2 of the unions to connect the bottoms of the water heaters, and I need 1 more union up here. I've got that union there. Yes, I will go to the feed store and buy a couple, but they're twice the price, and I already just bought 4 that are supposed to be coming. But we're back ordered for the first order, and now I'm still waiting on them, even though they said they have them. So that's going to hold me up, but I can make some progress there. I can probably get this stuff connected if I really concentrate next time. I still do have to move these tanks to put in my solution, or I don't know, it's just going to help me sleep better at night. I've got these hooks, and I'm figuring that I can put the hook, drill a hole in this outer wall here and put the hook so that it's sticking like this, through the wall and back up to the wall, and capture the D-ring on the tank. And then on the outside of the shipping container, I will put a big iron plate, big steel plate that I have to help spread the load. And that will just give me a little bit of peace of mind that these things are less likely to tip. I mean, I'm sure once they're full and they're full bearing pressure on the plate, going down, and the fact that 2 of them are tied together will help keep them stable, but I ain't gonna move them around right now. I can weld them to the plate on the base, but that's not gonna keep them from tipping. So I think having them anchored up high to those D-rings. Once I get this so that I know that it will connect, and I know these are in the right spot, then I gotta go and move them and drill those holes so I can get those hooks in. And that is not something I'm relishing. The other thing I have to do is I still don't have the air relief valve, the air purge valve, like on the top of that one. I don't have it on the other one because I couldn't get it to fit. And so I will have to figure out, I may have to mark where it goes, and when the tank is moved out of the way, drill up into the foam of the ceiling so I can fit that up and get it nestled down in. I don't know, it's an awful close fit. I do have just a straight 2-inch plug that I could fill that first tank up all the way till it starts running out the top and put this plug in. But that doesn't stop any random air from migrating and being trapped up at the top of that tank, which won't be good. So getting a purge valve at the top of that is still a priority. But other than working on it a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, I haven't made any progress. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I had thought that maybe if I loaded this with some water and it got heavy and kind of squidged down into the floor but I don't think that's going to happen. I need to gain more than 1/2 inch, and I don't think this better not settle more than 1/2 inch into the floor. That's for sure. So got to do that. I'm not looking forward to that. Moving these tanks and getting those pins in. I'm going to go tackle feeding. All right, I'm rambling. I'm going to go tackle feeding out bales and getting the cows some more bedding so I can bed them later. Still waiting for that one UPS package, and I still got to find those PEX fittings. I don't know what I did with them. That's kind of irritating that I've lost, I think, 4 different fittings. They're on some PEX, and I thought I brought them in here, but I'll have to go find them. I got to get that other air pressure bladder out, and I'm just going to turn the heat off here. It's 54 in here. Surprisingly today, that's nice. I'm going to turn off the lights because I know they're LED and they're low wattage, but our electricity bill is out of control because of all the electric heat we're using because this boiler isn't up and going. So I'll shut this down. I'll find a 7/8 wrench and come back and get that bladder. Everywhere is icy, and it's about to start raining too, which is the other reason I want to get that feed moved around. But I am going to come back right now and take this off of here because I have a place for this in there, and I want to get this. The other one was frozen because these do fill with water. This one doesn't feel frozen, but I do want to put it up in the house to stay above freezing. Make sure the water's drained out of it. It's Sunday the 11th, I think. And I don't remember how far I got in the last video segment that I recorded yesterday. I could go back and look, but I can't be bothered. I've been down here for a couple hours at this point. Sunday afternoon, wanted to take some time off, but I felt like I have to work on this to some degree. So I have made some progress. I did get this pressure tank on there, and that part's good. What I've done today is I connected the boiler to this set of piping here. It involved, and I didn't record it, I just went and got it. I had to take a bolt out of the base of that tank. One of the feet was about a 2.5 inch by inch bolt. I had to it wouldn't thread in enough, so I had to take it out and cut a 1/4 inch of it off and then reseat it, and that helped bring the boiler level and tip it forward enough so I could make the union connection there. I got that done. That was probably an hour just in wrestling that and having to pull that out and tip it up and pull that bolt. That part's done. I'm ready to connect the base, but I'm missing those 1.25 inch unions. I'm going to have to call the company tomorrow because I've had a delivery from them of new stuff that I ordered after I told them that they hadn't shipped me the 1.25 inch unions. I still don't have those. I need them to make the rest of the connections on these boilers. Can't go anywhere more there. I can extend the base out a bit more. I got ready to extend the T into the tempering valve. I just have to pipe dope and tape and thread those together tight and then figure out what my final length is down below for the stub. That has a union of its own, so that's good. My next big task today was to wrestle the 2 big tanks together and put these unions on. I fixed the pipe nipple down there and changed it from a 4 inch to a 5 inch, which made it exactly right. And it took a bit of wrestling and a bit of prying with a bar to get these things close so I could tighten the 2 unions, top and bottom. That seems to have worked out okay. Of course, I will know nothing about whether any of this is leak proof or pressure proof until I can test it. So I still have to come up with a test rig to pressurize everything. And I don't know if my compressor can handle trying to fill these 2 tanks to 30 pounds. We'll see. So then my next thing was to connect this and the union to the piping here. And I can't do it. I am that close, literally. This one comes along and it's a little bit high here, but not more than a 1/4 inch. And this one comes along. I thought I could tighten up this street L here tight enough, because if I were to put a close nipple and a regular elbow, it's only about an 1/8 inch difference. That is, if I could get the close nipple all the way tight, and you almost never can. I mean, even if I were to put this right up tight there, right up there, it's only 1/4 inch there. So I don't have the height to make up the difference of about 1 inch. That's a pisser. I thought I had it closer, but by the time you tighten all the tightening and, do everything, and then finally project over here, I guess being 1 inch out is pretty damn close. I mean, I can't get this any tighter. I really reefed that up in there. Now, the only thing I can think to do, I can swing this T up or in or out a little bit to gain some of that difference, but this now is lined up almost perfectly to here, and there's very little, can change this a little bit, but I mean, it is really sweetly lined up there. So if I go tipping this elbow one side or the other, that means I offset this T. So now what do I do? So I'm thinking what I'm gonna have to do is and I added this extra length. I went from an 18 inch to a 24 inch piece here. I may not do that. I was trying to get this T with the 1 inch stub for the heating units in the barn to get out past the edge of the tank, because this PEX pipe here has to shoot out there to the wall and then match up those PEX lines that are dangling there via the pump. So I kind of wanted this out as far as possible. Now that means I don't have a lot of room here, probably whatever that is plus 1 inch by the time I get this all tightened back. So I'm running out of space to play with to get a union in here. I have the 1.5 inch union, but I'm thinking what I'm gonna have to do is come up with some kind of an S here and then be able to offset and then swing this over to match it. Now, the only problem is this street L here that I have, this street 90, the threads are screwed up, or they're just not threading right. So I'm gonna have to go find my 1.5 inch pipe die and clean those threads up. The other thing is I only have 2 elbows left. And I don't think I need one down there. I think I'm in good shed for the bottom return line. So if I do the upper one, I have that street elbow and I have 2.5 inch regular elbows I can buy more if I have to. But I think what I'm gonna have to do is get a handful of a handful of close nipples, which means they're really close in so that there's no distance, and that would allow me to get this. I don't know where I can put you that you'll be able to see this without falling. There we go. So that if I put an elbow coming out here, slightly at an angle down, and then with a close nipple. Actually, for that, it doesn't actually, because it wants to be close. I don't want to have much distance between these two. I want to have the least amount, because, this isn't going to work because this puts it too far out. If I swing up here, that gets me, I think the distance is too far. Even if I go close with this, by the time I swing this out, I'm not gonna be right where I need to be. Would almost have to come all the way up there, and I'm not sure. Well, I guess, all right, so if I'm gonna do that, I could just S this out. I could put 2 here close, and I can take this Street 90 out of behind me here and put in the right size nipple and just S this. I think that's the only thing I can do is monkey around with that somehow. So I'm gonna have to get some fittings, damn it. I was really hoping to get these tanks connected to this upper line today. I thought I was, I am that close. So I'm not gonna put this on today until I can get the pieces to see where I can match this up. Because I mean, if there was just a flex, but they don't make flex. I mean, I suppose somebody could, you could throw some copper in there, but there's probably $100 of copper in there instead of $20 worth of iron. So, yeah, so I'm stalled there until I get a close nipple and some other bits, a couple of close nipples. And then, so my next thing is to work along the bottom and get that figured out and come out in line with what's down there. I do have to install the 2 T's down there. There's two T's down there, and that pipe have to be threaded together and tightened. That could go on. That piece there can go down and be connected, and that will tell me whether I need a different length nipple to finish that run out. And I might be able to finish connecting this lower line while I wait for that. Tomorrow's Monday. I'll have a chance to go to the parts store if I can. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I really desperately need to clean the barn, but the cows can't get out of the barn because there's sheer ice all outside the barn at this point. So I can just keep chucking material in and try and keep them as dry and clean as possible until fortunately today's another warm day, but it's going to be bitter cold tonight and then cold tomorrow and the next day. But tomorrow's going to be a right at freezing day, and it's going to be sunny with a wind. That could help dry up some wet areas, clear off some ice and some other things. It's too great an area to throw sand and salt down, because it's literally almost the entire path out to the field and the area around the feed ring was all pretty much ice yesterday when I looked. Now, I'm hoping that the 42 degrees today will help make some dent in that. So I may end up having to be cleaning the barn tomorrow and do a deep clean. I also need to see if I can get a shipment of sawdust brought here, because this project is taking me away from farming and all the things like chipping and doing the usual things that I do in the winter at this point. So yeah, we had a lot of rain and a lot of snow in the last couple days, and that always makes a mess in the barn because it takes the bedding, not the bedding. The bedding area is fine. That's deep pack, and I can keep adding material to that. It's the area where they stand and where I usually can clean out every couple days, but not right now, not with ice. I'm not having cows with broken legs. So if I do get an opportunity, I got to break away and do that tomorrow. And Tuesday, we're going to go to the trade show in Augusta, the agricultural trade show. And so I will be able to get some parts on Tuesday when we're out. If I don't get them tomorrow, probably the next chance to correct this difference here will be Wednesday. And hopefully by then I will have the unions, because I am so close to being able to test this. If I can get this joint made, if I can get the bottom run done, that stub done, and if I can connect the 2 hot water heaters, then I can put some pressure to this system and test it. I do have to run the overhead safety loop as well. I was hoping to be done this week. I don't see there's any way that I can have this system tested and full and up and running this week. There's just no way, because I still have to, I can't use either of the water heaters until I get the fresh water line hooked up and run water through the coil and get it sent out of here. But I can't do that until I have heat in here. I can't do that until I'm ready to fire the boiler. And I can't do that until I have those solder connections done. That has to happen. I need to finish running the PEX 1-inch lines that we got them into the barn yesterday. So hurrah. That's good. I need to get some couplings, and then I can finish the connections in the barn. That's, an hour up in the barn gets me set for running up there. Maybe 2 hours would be better because I can get some plywood on the walls and I can mount everything nicely. And then I've got to tidy up all the lines that I've run out through that hole outside. They all need to be insulated. Well, I think I'll wait till they have some heat on them and then insulate them because they'll be more flexible, but they need to be tidied up and insulated and bundled and wrapped and secured. So that has to happen. There's probably a day, given the fact that my days are really only about 3 or 4 hours that are to work on this. So there's probably a day of doing that, and then a day of connections. I have to have this line and this position here established to be able to get the line run correctly and get the pump mounted on the wall and get all the PEX connected and get the return line connected down there, which hopefully by then I'll have this all figured out. And I have a couple hours of wiring to do. If I can get all that done, then I can get the furnace, my buddy's salamander in here, warm this place up above freezing, keep it above freezing. And it was really good. It's 47 in here now, and it was 54 yesterday. It's about not quite 40 outside, but when I came in here, it was below 30. So I've had the heater running while I was in here working. So, I mean, if I can get all that other stuff done, then I can get some heat in here. Then I can start filling. Oh, I also have to put on the thermometers in those ports right there. So then I can start getting the water trickling in here and start filling this stuff up after I air pressure test it. And then I can get this thing fired up and we can have some hot water and heat in the barn. Oh yeah, there's some other... Right, there's one of these boilers is going to be super hot water. I'm going to send it up as hot as it will go out of that boiler, about 190 degrees. Now that is dangerous scalding, but it will be well labeled all the way up and through, and there'll probably be some temperature loss going that far to where it has to go up to the creamery to a special tap that I have to replace, because right now when we had the 160 degree water heater up there, I had just a ball valve, just one of these 3/4 ball valves. Problem with this is under pressure, the water comes out way too fast. And since we're gonna have that as superheated water, for filling the jacket of the vat pasteurizer to use the hot water out of these tanks to pasteurize the milk and not use electricity, which will be a huge savings, which is part of the whole reason for this system. That water has to come out of here hot. I have to fix the valve and the system the way it gets into the creamery. So I have to probably a day doing that, refitting the tap, rewiring, getting the water line in and tucked in where nobody can bump into it, and making sure that on Allison's end up in the creamery, there's some safety protocols for how to dispense that super hot water into the vat jacket. The other unit is for the wash water for the milking parlor for the future, but also the wash water in the meanwhile for the barn sink up in the milk room for cleaning equipment. That needs to be at 170 degrees so we can use an automatic washing machine, and the chemicals that go with that require 170 degrees. So that's going to be set differently. But both those systems have to be functional and full of water, both in their jackets and the heating coil, before I can fire the boiler. So that's going to be a little bit special, because again, I don't want to fill those lines with water and have them freeze. Now, once they're all bundled together into an elephant trunk outside, all those hoses going out that hole there. No, all the hoses going out that hole there. Once they're all bundled and insulated, the heat from the lines coming up, I'll just run that pump continually to circulate water along those lines. That will keep everything from freezing. That's not the issue. It's in that initial period of filling it up and getting things going. And I also, air pressure test is one thing, making sure that all these joints are tight and secure and we don't have any leaks or pressure drops. But then when we add the weight of the water, things could change and I could end up with some other leaks that weren't expected. But also, I want to, it's going to be a crazy dance because I want to be able to have this system full down here and warm and fire the boiler during the day. I don't want to be firing it at 5 o'clock at night and have a sleepless night, worrying things and stumbling around in the dark trying to fix stuff that might go wrong, like up in the barn or something. So yeah, and I also have to bleed all the air out of the system once I start filling it with water. So there's a lot left to do. As close as it feels, it still feels like there's a lot more to get done. And there really isn't. There really isn't. All right, Sunday afternoon, I'm rambling. I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to quit working on this for the time being. Go try and have a couple hours off before I have to go feed and bed cows tonight. Well, I'm a little pissed, so I'm going to rant for a minute. I was just at the feed store, and that's not why I'm pissed, and picked up a bunch of parts. I got a couple of 45s to try and make this transition that I need up here. But I'll play with that in a minute. I could have picked up some parts there when I was there just now. But I didn't because they said they were shipping them. But I haven't received any word that the back-ordered parts are being shipped, so I called. Now, I got an email on the 29th of December saying that the back-order parts had arrived and they would ship them out ASAP. It only takes 2 days to get the stuff here. I waited till last week, probably a week ago, and called, and they said, oh, it was the mix-up, so sorry, I'll tell the warehouse to ship them now ASAP. And I even looked when I placed a different order for the parts that just arrived, those long pipes, and the parts that I was missing were in stock on the website, and I thought, oh, I should just order these now. They'll arrive with this shipment. I don't know about the back stock and the back ordered thing. Maybe I can cancel it. But I didn't order them when I saw them in stock. Got the stuff that I got on Friday that I'd ordered last Wednesday. Now I called on the Tuesday, I think, or Monday. They said they'd be shipped, so nothing. Didn't get the back ordered parts. Haven't got any emails, no tracking numbers, nothing like they said they would give. So I just called now and said, hey, here's the order number, here's the back order. I got the email saying they were in stock. Oh no, that was wrong. They were never in stock. I saw them myself in stock on the website. I considered buying them. And says, oh no, you're going to call me a liar, she said. They're not in stock. And they haven't been. So I canceled the delivery of them because I'm going to have to go buy them at 3 times the price. Because I need 4 of them. And then I can complete the water heaters. But pisses me off. I was just at the parts store and I even looked at the unions. But I got these 2 45s. And I'm going to see if I can't find some way of snaking this and making these pipes line up, that 3/4 of an inch difference. Just got a grain delivery. I had to go up because the hopper was full, so I had to fill a garbage can and a little bit of the bucket of the skid steer because I ordered thinking we would have used more over the weekend than we did. I called Friday morning and actually probably could have gotten away with getting the delivery on Thursday this week instead of Monday. But I had just manipulated the pipe into shape, and I think if I can make this work, this little Dodge with those 2 45s is going to work really well. Looks like we're in almost the right orientation and plane in both axes. So I'm going to proceed as if that can happen. And I'm just going to get those 245s tucked in there and get this other pipe orchestrated on here, and then hope that I can make up the difference in here with the, let's see, shoot, I'm out of close. I guess I got one more close nipple and another 2-inch, which is just a ½ inch bigger than a close nipple. So like that, that's just a little bit bigger. And then this union, the union's gonna take up almost all of that. Yeah, I have to do something different. I guess I can't use a 24-inch pipe here because that just doesn't make sense. I think I'll go back to the 18-inch piece here. I may put this T out here so that, because I want to get that pipe out in this space, not up against and have to go around the tank, because the tank will have to be insulated. All right, I think I got it. That is what it's looking like. An S coming out to match the height of this, which I rotated up to get into alignment with this fore and aft. This is my T, which will go out there in the void between the tank and this pipe. That'll be perfect for lining up with the pump I can mount on the wall. And then I just need a 7 or 8 inch, once all these connections are tightened, 7 or 8 inch pipe to make the union to here. I think that's gonna be as close as I can get it in. Good enough. And that'll be a major hurdle. That will be the boiler outflow to the tanks connected and everything hard plumbed coming out of the boiler to the tanks. And then it's a matter of running the return line, getting the water heaters hooked up. So I'm gonna have to get this pipe. I have to go to the parts lumberyard, whatever the feed store is where I'm getting all this stuff. I gotta get it. I have to pick up this pipe, but I'm gonna also get those unions at the same time. Technically, this off point here going up to the heating circuit should be the same distance along the double tank join as down below. Now I've come off the T here is the same distance as down there, and I've come off there. I think I used a 12-inch piece to move over. I can't go 18 because that would put me in at the bottom of this. That's the cold return coming out of the heating system, the cooler water coming back through there. The fact that this is 6 inches different, closer to the boiler, I don't think it's going to matter. It will, it may slow down the performance, because ideally what this circuit does is, this is going to run all the time for the moment. Eventually it will be tied to other things, one in the future. This is going to run all the time. So it will either, when the boiler is firing and it's charging the tanks, this circuit will draw the heat off primarily from the boiler. When this circuit is on and the boiler isn't firing and there's no water pumping up through here, then this will be drawing from the tanks. I hope that sending it, 6 inches that way isn't going to affect things. And as far as I can tell, this is the way to plumb it. Normally, I would have done what's called closely spaced T's. There would have been another T right here, as close to this as possible, and I would have looped the cold back in so you got constant hot water. But in this case, I want separation so that the hot water is only drawn out of the top of the tank and the cold water comes in the bottom of the tank, pushing the hot water up to the top when it's being drawn out and then filling from the top down as it's charging. So there's always hot water in here. I think this is the way that's certainly, of the tens of plumbing diagrams and circuits of heating of boiler systems, almost walked off my plank. Certainly in the tens of heating system boiler diagrams I've looked at, this is, pretty standard the way I've got this plumbed. I used to be a diesel fitter at the women's underwear factory. I'd hold up the underwear and Dolly would say, "Yeah, sure, diesel fitter." All right, making more progress. I have now got my stub all the way down to the T of the 1.25 inch recirculation boiler protection valve line. Then I've got the last nipple measured that I need there. I think that's available locally in the right length. So I've got that measured up. I've got this all assembled and measured up, so I know what that nipple needs to be. And now I have assembled the final bit. The T coming down here and coming for the boiler return. And that lines up exactly with the boiler return. And I know the final length of pipe that I need for there. And then I need to get those 1.25 inch unions. Once I assemble this final return line, then I can make all the rest of the connections. Get that put in, get this top line put in, then it's just filling in the blanks. I'm really, really close.